What's up, boys? Welcome back to a new Is it IMBA or Do I Suck? Today we have the Barcode Terran taken up against Mr. Fair, the Protoss player, and we'll be looking at whether Protoss is imbalanced or if the Barcode player sucks. Now, this is one of the more interesting emails I've received. Actually, let me read it out while I pause this real fast. Protoss lost their entire army because of excellent micro, then managed to remax of no bases and A-moved my army to death. I couldn't have done anything better, and the Protoss is beeping brain dead. You must watch this replay, Kevin. You must. Now, this was all fine, but this email came without a replay. Now, our superstar of today sent me an email 7 hours later. Forgot the replay. With the replay attached. So, even before the game started, I feel like he's already shown his colors a little bit. I think he might be a bit of a moron, but let's hop straight into the game and figure it out ourselves. So, in the top left corner spawning as the Red Terran, it is our superstar of the day. It is Mr. Barcode, who shall remain nameless. And in the bottom right, spawning as the Blue Toss, it is Fair, who is, well, not quite the hero, not the superstar of this replay, but he's the one whose race we shall be judging, whether it's imbalanced or if our Barcode player just sucks. So, we just have a standard barracks first opener into what I can only assume to be a gas? No, alright. This is something that I've never seen before, not in a long time at least. This most likely will be a gasless expand, which isn't actually a build. So, the reason why this isn't really a build is because it's really hard to scout any kind of tech. You basically need to build a blind bunker. It's difficult to see third timings if you don't have a Reaper. And if you're not putting on any kind of pressure with factory or starport units either, then it's just going to be hard to get any kind of information. Stuff like DTs, Oracle save-ups, rushing third bases. Basically anything is going to be hard to deal with, because from a gasless expand, the Terran can't actually do that many different things. All they can really do is a 2 or a 3 Rex, which doesn't really have that much potential against people that play at a higher level, because if you know it can only be a 3 Rex, you can just go either straight into Colossus, or you can attempt to DT drop into Colossus, DTs into fast 3 base. Like, there's so many things you can do. The freedom you give the Protoss is absolutely amazing, and I can tell you every Protoss would love to play against a gasless command center expand. So let's move forward. We do see 2 more barracks on the way, as that's no real surprise. 2 extra refineries being added on top of this as well. Big supply block for whatever reason by our superstar already. Got supply block at 23, which means he forgot his second depot for a little bit. Now his natural command center will finish up and go straight into an orbital. Now, our Protoss player actually knows what he's doing. He opens Robo. I like Robo against gasless expand, once again, because you get the info with the observers. You can go into early Colossus, which is great. It's absolutely fantastic. And really the Colossus are the backbone of your army against any kind of 3-Rex opener, which will mainly consist of, well, Marines and Marauders. So with a couple of force fields, 1-2 Colossus, maybe even an Immortal if you're very afraid, you should be in a very good position as the Protoss player. I really like that he builds a Roboway this quick as well. Usually you'll see people go up to 3 gate first, maybe even up to 4 gas. But once again, because he's not playing against any factory opener, that's completely unnecessary. So, I'm a very big fan of this, and the Observer being chrono boosted. Not as big a fan of the straight Immortal. I wouldn't have minded seeing at least 1 more Observer, as well as because our Protoss player is supply block. But so far our Protoss player is looking a lot better than our Terran when it comes to build order choices. As this Terran seems a little bit clueless. We have an eBay on the way as well, a fast third gas. I have to admit, I'm not extremely familiar with how you're supposed to play it out. If you play triple Rex, like what your gas timings are, this gas feels very fast though for a 3 Rex opener. I'll admit to that. The bunker is a safety play, a couple of Marauders. Most of the time as a Terran you will be looking to hit a stim combat shield timing with this kind of build order. So his +1 is a bit ill-timed, I believe. As you see, Stim and Combat is going to finish way before +1 will finish. Usually you want all your important upgrades to finish at the same time. Because right now he's investing a lot in this +1 upgrade, which probably won't matter in the fight. Unless he decides to wait for it. But then why were you rushing the Stim and Combat shield? Probably better to get a faster eBay in that case. Imagine if a fight would happen now with this I'm not saying that our Terran player has a big chance, but he has a better chance right now than in 10 seconds, because then the Colossus will be out. In general, I'm not a massive fan of these weird mass barracks plays, especially from Gasless. And yeah, our Protoss player moves into position, big stim forward, and our Terran player kills exactly 0 units and loses 625 resources. So far, there's only one person losing their army in a brain that way, and that's the Terran. We got a second bunker as some kind of safety measure, which makes sense. But once again, he's just in a really bad spot. And in my mind, if the Protoss player just builds a second Colossi, gets a prism, he can just kind of kill these bunkers from a distance with thermal lance. And from that point on, I don't really see a way for the Terran to come back. But maybe the Protoss will make some mistakes. Maybe the Terran will make some magnificent plays. As he is getting an eBay block onto this third base, denying the Protoss from expanding. Here we see the Protoss moving forward with that big immortal power. We'll be able to target down that bunker extremely quickly. Good force field coming out of him as well. Managed to get 1 or 2 Marauders, and it feels very tempting to move in here and go for this bunker, just right click it, but there's no reinforcements. There's a bunch of Marauders here. How many is there exactly? There's 8, and if you only have a single Colossus, not a lot of Zealots, it can feel kind of scary. So you always got to be careful here as the Protoss player. As a Terran, you're just praying that you are allowed to survive another day after your awful start. We do see, finally, at the 650 mark, we see some medevacs starting, which is extremely late. Usually medevacs, even from a starport opener, or a 111 opener, a barracks factory starport opener. We do see those medevacs usually starting at what? Maybe 5:30, 5:45 the latest. So almost a full minute delay onto those medevacs for a push that did absolutely nothing early on. So not sure if this is the wisest play for our Terran player. Does have his third command center on the way as well, but there's also a third nexus already for our Protoss. So in the base count, they're relatively even. I don't favor anyone particularly in the base count. I do like the army of the Protoss a lot more right now. We'll be going up to 3 Colossus, I believe. Yes, there's the third one moving about. Usually after 3 Colossus, this is the time you start switching out of Colossus into a more Templar, Immortal focused play. So with these 3 Colossus, what you want to do is you want to force out a lot of Vikings from the Terran. And then go into Templar, into Immortals, which Vikings don't shoot very well on the ground. They're kind of bad on the ground, honestly. Kind of slow, can't kite with them. So that's usually the play you want to go for. However, we see more Colossus, so a more Colossus focused style. Now, what are we seeing from the Terran? Usually when you're behind as a Terran player, you want to do one of 2 things. Either you want to go for some kind of SCV pull all in, or you want to actually either get very stable, so with tanks, that kind of stuff, and start making walls and bunkers and that kind of composition, or you just want to start making plays. Now, our friend over here is doing nothing. He has nothing really to keep him extremely safe. He's getting a lot of Vikings. I guess that helps against Colossus, but there's no extra bunkers, no extra tanks, and with just 2 medevacs, it's very difficult to make plays. Added to that is that this observer is seeing absolutely everything. As you can see, this Terran is capable of seeing it. You can always see the shimmering over here. But he's not noticing it. It would be great to scan that away, just to make the Protoss a little bit more scared. Because in theory, the Protoss has complete map vision, complete map control now. As long as he sees your army, he knows where you are. He can move wherever he wants. He can set up run-bys. He can patrol 2 Zealots in rather random locations. He really can do what he wants. I mean, there's no issue there. Now, we continue our Viking production as a Terran, which I like. 2-2 is also a good move. So far, after if we don't take the early game into account, our Terran hasn't been playing too poor, right? He hasn't really been doing anything. Can't really make mistakes if you don't do anything whatsoever. Little Marine spotting that fort base, knows it's time for his own fort now, and would love to see a Ghost Academy go down relatively soon. And as I say it, he throws down the Ghost Academy. So this Terran definitely does know how to play. He's no stranger to the game of StarCraft 2. Let's just put it like that. This guy seems pretty alright. Protoss player is trying to shark around a little bit here. I wouldn't be surprised if he will be going in for a 4th base deny or something like that. Usually if you have a big supply lead, you have your Templar, you have a good Colossus count, you have your charge, get your upgrades going. It's good to make that kind of play. Especially if you see that there's no ghost on the field and that you're completely free to move out wherever you want. Now, this Viking count is rather healthy, right? 10 Vikings for 4 Colossus. Usually what I say is you want about 2.5 to 3 Vikings for every Colossus there is. Maybe 3.5 even. So for about 4 Colossus, about 10 to 15 Vikings. Anywhere in between there, depending on what the rest of your army looks like, should be okay-ish. Majority of the time. So we see a Liberator switch. Once again, a good move by the Terran here. Realizes he doesn't need more Vikings than he has right now. It's like, you know what? I want units that do more for me. That, you know, can really control an area. And Liberators definitely are a very good choice there. Now, some of the things I would love to see from this Terran. A Marine over here for vision. Marine over here for vision. Marine over here for vision. Perhaps a turret in this area. And I wouldn't mind a sensor tower over here. The sensor tower over here to just get this vision of where the Protoss army is moving. Especially if you're going into Liberators, it's very difficult to pre-siege your army in the correct locations if you don't know where the army is. And you can't just go around scanning all the time because you want to be using mules. So this is why these sensor towers are so extremely cost effective, even though it feels like a big investment. But we have a little bit of a fight going on. Our big scan on top of the army, and honestly this fight, well, the planetary went down very quickly and some zoning storms from the Protoss, but I honestly think this army might be capable of taking on this army. Now, as this is going on, there is a run by into the natural of the Terran. The Terran responds with a single Liberator around his command center, so a lot of workers did get lost there, about 20-ish or so. A couple more got lost in this area, and we were at 71, now we're at 49. So that was a bit of a bad move by the Terran, who now very desperately needs a good fight, right? He has a very big army, sure, his army supply is bigger. There's a couple of issues I have though. There's no 2-2 on the way yet, or no 3-3 on the way yet, and he doesn't have a fort base, and he doesn't even know where the Protoss army is. So the Protoss gives him the surprise of a lifetime, even though I'm not sure if this is a good surprise for the Protoss. He doesn't really need to fight right now. This is an okay position, some decent storms coming out. But these EMPs are hitting absolutely everything. And once the Templars disappear and your Colossus start falling against the Vikings, I mean, Marine Marauder and equal upgrades against pure Stalker is just gonna destroy a Stalker Immortal army. This is why most people prefer lower Stalker counts, bigger charge slot counts, and just kind of keeping your Templar split. Because the moment this happens, well, the game just kind of ends, as we can see. Right now, 121 army supply against 50 army supply, and the Terran is definitely in the advantage there. Now, if you're a Terran and you're wondering what to do, is just go for the throat. You can go for the throat while sending small groups of harass to other bases, perhaps. So you can send, like, you go over here with your main army, send 8 Marines to the third, so you still kill that eco over there. Instead, our Terran opts to go for the fourth base first, zones out his opponent with a couple of Liberators. Still has a bunch of ghosts as well, still no 3-3 on the way, and he has a couple more command centers. This looks really, really good for the Terran, right? I mean, he kills this base for free, he scans this army, he's like, alright, there's absolutely no way that I can lose this as long as I keep macroing. That's what he keeps doing, everything is producing. We're getting more Liberators sent to our main army, but still no 3-3, which is bothering me a bit. There's another thing that I'm worried about for the Terran is I wouldn't mind seeing a couple of extra ghosts being added, maybe going up to 6-7 ghosts at this point, just in case you miss any kind of big EMPs. I also feel like he's a little bit too passive, like he should be way more keen to fight. Like this big Archon count against your ghost, if you just hit your EMPs, this army disappears, just like this. There we go. Moving forward is the Terran right now, and now this actually looks a little bit scary, honestly. This is starting to feel like a bigger army. We get big warp in after big warp in as the Protoss is floating a lot of money. But, once again, Terran succeeds in his goal and will be able to basically just take out this third base for free. Now, once again, I feel like just moving on top of this army that you just damage so much probably would be better. Why would you give your opponent the time to remax or to get a lot more units? Especially because at this point, you actually are running low on ghost energy. There's maybe 1-2 EMPs left in this army. Dealing with Archon is going to be extremely difficult. So, after you kill the third base, I'd actually kind of advise going back home now, as your army is looking very, very weak here, Mr. Terran. And let's have a look at how the EMPs land. Well, the EMPs don't land because there's no EMPs anymore. So right now the Terran actually is being chased back home. He still has bigger army supply. The problem is his army supply doesn't have enough ghosts that can EMP. It's just really important that he hits his EMP. Meanwhile, the Protoss player, who had a bank of about 6k once he lost the third and the fourth, he actually didn't lose that many probes. He's equal worker count, he just built 2 more bases. If he starts reproducing workers right now, he's actually going to be in a pretty okay-ish spot. Now Mr. Terran, who hasn't been playing too poor, I have to admit. He's been doing an okay job, except for the early game. We need to take a good fight right now. We need to take a good fight. We're still up in army supply. We have 5 bases up, 2 planetaries. I mean, these guys are hard to kill. And this army is extremely poor against EMP. All you need to do is hit the EMP. And the EMP has a radius of about 500 meters at this point. So let's see where the EMPs will be hitting. First 2 EMPs completely managed to miss everything. Third EMPs also just... If there was a... Maybe I saw a bug over here or something. But he surely managed to get that bug in that case. And now once again, there's no EMPs remaining against an army that... I mean, this army is completely shield and energy based. If you just hit half an EMP on this army, it's going to be impossible for the Protoss to win already. A couple more ghosts are joining the fray right now, and the Protoss actually doing a rather good job microing this out. Some good army movement as well. And here is once again why the sensor tower would be so extremely useful, because our Terran is completely blind. He has no knowledge of anything. He's just preparing for an attack at this area, and it's like, oh, wait a second. You walk to my planetary on the 4th. And this is why I get the sensor tower. I mean, you can always try to repair, but once there's a couple of Immortals, a bunch of Archons, some Storms. Oh, first good EMP being hit, but another good Storm hitting as well. So don't forget that at EMP with the enhanced shockwave is so easy to hit, and also outranges anything the Templar can do. So as long as you have vision of the army, honestly, you should never really get stormed. And you should be able to hit some good EMPs, you know. So our Terran has a very weak army. We also don't have a lot of harass going on. I mean, this base has been practically empty without anything. Like 1 Liberator there would have been able to put in some work. Same over here, no cannons, no pylons. Wouldn't even be able to warp in any Stalkers. Like, these are just things where in a scrappy game like this, it's nice to send out a lip or something. 4 lips at home are nice, but 1 lip on the other side of the map is probably a lot nicer. These are some good EMPs from our Terran, who also is completely unaware of any kind of run-by happening. Like I said, no real vision anywhere on the map. I mean, this whole middle area is basically blind. This area is blind, and here come a couple of Zealots, which will be going real hard on these 2 SCVs. Does the depot lift in time? No, depot does not lift in time, so these 3 Zealots will be going ham onto those 6 SCVs that are just idling. But this was a big distraction, look at that. A complete F2 from our Terran to deal with 6 Zealots. And here's the main army of the Protoss. Moving forward. Snaking forward. Absolutely going hard. Very quick movement by this Protoss player. And even though it's in the sensor tower, he still managed to actually check if there was a 4th in there. If there would have been a 4th, he definitely would have been able to have it. And at this point, as a Protoss player, you're pretty happy. You're up a base. Your army is big, but still very vulnerable to EMPs. And here we go. 2 EMPs hitting absolutely nothing. 1 EMP hitting all the Templar, but half of the army still not really being hit. This feels very good for the Terran. A very nice fight. If he just 1 or 2 more EMPs on top of this army, and he should absolutely be able to win this. Yeah, there we go. Managed to just completely chase it back. At the same time though, a little bit of a Zealot run-by here. Will be going hard on those turrets and the refineries. These kind of run-bys never do too much anymore. Once this base is mined out, you're gonna get 3-4 SCVs, but sending in 10 Zealots for 3 SCVs really isn't the way. It also, of course, distracts the Terran, so that is nice and all. And some late EMPs coming in, but this army is so extremely weak. Good micro once again out of the Terran. Some nice splits. We need more medevacs at this point. But I actually kind of start to dig the position of the Terran once again. If only he would be able to do something about these bases with either a Liberator, this one for example, or a little bit of a drop. Just any kind of harass to pull his opponent apart. Because sure, he's defending very well and he's taking good fights, even though 60-70% of the EMPs are being missed. I still feel like it could be way better for him if he just managed to finally get some momentum on his side and fight where he wants to fight rather than wherever the TOS wants to fight. So once again, our Terran getting pulled, kind of caught out of position. This base will not fall, I believe. Good EMPs, but these storms will absolutely end the game, I believe. I mean, there's not enough medevacs to heal everything here. All of these Templar are clumped, so there's no real excuse if you have vision of the army to get completely stormed. You can just put one EMP on. I mean, at this point, there's no ghost, so it becomes very difficult. But I'm afraid I need to turn on my what you call it, the swear words. I don't want to see the swear words here, boys. This is a children-friendly channel. Oh no! I mean, these storms are just absolutely destructive. Yeah, our Terran was actually serious. Oh no. Couple more Templar falling now. And our Terran seems to have taken this game rather serious after dancing in the storms for a couple of minutes. Dancing in the rain, sitting in the storm. And the worst opener I've seen in my life. He did have a lot of nice moves, you know. Some of the micro was nice. The unit compositions were good. And he did actually play well. He did play well, but so did the Protoss. The Protoss did play well. And if the Terran was just a little less passive, really went for the throat when he was up 80, 90 army supply, I feel like there might have been some slight errors there. But it actually was a kind of a high-level game, which I enjoyed to watch. Protoss was good, Terran was good. However, if we just have a quick summary of the game. First of all, opener of the Terran, complete garbage. Put him really far behind. Second of all, there was no real way that he tried to come back, except just being kind of passive with Vikings. 3, his map vision was kind of poor. He did some good fights in the mid game. He had a very good fight in the mid game, but then he decided to not finish the game, instead just going for the outside bases. Very slow movement with the army rather than pushing on top of the Protoss player, really pushing the advantage. And then finally just missing almost all of your EMPs. And it's not easy to hit your EMPs, but it actually is. With the enhanced shockwave. Like the radius is so big. You can click anywhere on the screen and it's probably harder to miss something than to hit something. So yeah, I'm sorry, Mr. Barcode. I know you won't like it. I'm sure you truly believe that you played better and Protoss is very imbalanced, but you suck. You really just suck. Sorry, man. I don't like this either. Alright, boys. That's gonna be it for me today. If you enjoyed it, please click one of these buttons. Or the one upstairs, wherever they will be. To subscribe, as it helps me a lot. Also, leave a comment down below. Tell me what you thought about this Terran player. Tell me what you thought about the Protoss player. And of course, hit that like button, as that feeds the YouTube algorithm into liking me. Which is very nice for me. And more people will enjoy my videos. And I get more money. Alright. Love everyone. See you all next time for a new Is It IMBA or Do I Suck? Bye bye.